You're listening to The Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
James Spann.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
Week 1 of the NFL regular season came to a close in Santa Clara on Monday Night Football, where the 49ers handled the Jets 32-19. An unlikely star in this one was San Francisco star running back Christian McCaffrey, inactive for the game with ankle and Achilles issues. In stepped undrafted Jordan Mason, who had 28 carries for 147 yards and a touchdown. Jake Moody booted 6 field goals as well in the win. For the Jets, quarterback Aaron Rodgers in his regular season returned from an Achilles injury that cost him almost all of last season. He was 13 of 21 passing for 167 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. News from the NFL, where Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen will start Thursday night in Miami, despite suffering an injury to his non-throwing hand in their win over the Cardinals. Green Bay Packers quarterback Jordan Love will not be placed on injured reserve. While he hasn't officially been ruled out for Week 2, it's expected that Malik Willis will start against the Colts this coming Sunday.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to center and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Max Sports. We are ready to kick off this Tuesday edition. We will be joined by DC of DC Capstone Report as we continue the conversation around the weekend of Alabama versus South Florida. We'll get DC's opinions on the game. We'll try to get to some good, bad, and ugly on this week. We'll also cover some more things around the college football world and break it down for you. So we get ready to kick this off. I'll kick it over to Martin.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show, powered by Box Eye Care. That's Box Eye Care. Tell you a little bit more about them in just a moment. As Xavier said, we have DC Capstone Report joining the conversation. We can't wait to get his thoughts from this past weekend. But we also want to welcome you in to get your thoughts, your comments, your reactions. 205-342-9904. That's Empowerment Strategies and Solutions Hotline. That's 205-342-9904. You can join the conversation there. And, of course, as always, those of you who join on the live stream, we'd love to have you in on the conversation as well and work your comments, your questions, and your reactions in at the Martin Houston Show Facebook page. And if you want to learn more about Empowerment Strategies and Solutions, go to empowermentstrategy.com. That's empowerment with an M, empowermentstrategies.com, and that is the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions Hotline. It's open for business. Remember that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Let's get it rolling. Don't forget, we do have our score prediction contest going as we head up to Wisconsin. And going up to Wisconsin, X, we have to make the tiebreaker rushing yards, right? Total rushing yards. You're going against Wisconsin. We need to outrush Wisconsin. So this week's tiebreaker on the Alabama Legacy Collection score prediction contest is total rushing yards. And so let's get those in. I'll toss it back to you.
I think that is a great choice for this week. I mean, it's Bama versus Wisconsin. Who can run the ball better? I'll definitely get in on that, and so should you. Well, we're going to welcome in DC. How you doing this morning, DC?
Oh, doing great, X. How are you this morning?
Cannot complain. So Alabama gets the win 42-16 this weekend. But as we all know, it really didn't feel like 42-16. What were some of your thoughts and takeaways from the game this weekend?
Well, I mean, I think I was at the game, and I got to see it firsthand what was going on and kind of could tell what was happening early on. Just like everybody else, I saw we were having a hard time maintaining any consistency because of the penalties and mistakes that were being made. It did not – I never felt uncomfortable as far as we're going to lose this game there. It just didn't feel that way. I know some folks have said they did, and I just didn't feel that way. I felt like we were the better team, more athletic, playing better. But I do understand what everybody's seeing and what they were feeling. I've done a lot of folks are just saying it's the same old Bama team, but I didn't see that at all. Not in this. I saw something different. What I saw was a team that had very few snaps with an offensive line that was going on. The communication wasn't consistent. It seemed like when they were playing, they weren't playing together, and it took them a while to settle down and do that. And it seemed like to me that I know everybody fusses about officiating, but I feel like yes.
Let's bring it home since this is our good, bad, and ugly, and I think you're probably about to get into that. So let's break it down so the audience can kind of categorize what we're talking about. You've already hit a couple of things. Last week we didn't have any ugly. We said maybe a mistake. This week we had a little ugly. So let's kind of break it down in that kind of category, so we can kind of dig deeper. So that's let's start with the good, and kind of that way we can hone in on a specific topic and get a little deeper versus just too broad there.
Oh, sure. I'll tell you, there's a lot more good than I've heard all the message boards and the callers talk about. A whole lot more good in this game. First thing, number good was on the defensive side of the ball. Overall defense, really, really, really good. Really, really good way they play, the way they set up. A couple of stats for you so you can see specifically what I'm talking about. We've given up one touchdown in 2 games, one rushing touchdown, no passing TDs. We held South Florida in 3rd and 4th down conversions of 2 for 20. That's 10%. When any team would love to have be in the 20 to 30% range on those downs. Two perfect examples of how good the defense was. Passionate and power on the defense, playing with both. So I think overall defensive perspective was really good in how they made up. The bad I think was the inconsistent offensive line play.
Let's just stick one. Just stay on the good, and then we'll transition because we also got a caller to get to. When you look at some of the good thing, I think Keith Holcomb actually may have the best good that nobody's talking about. DC is, would you rather have us blown them out, like we did Western Kentucky? Because there were some things that were exposed. We were exposed that there's some work that needs to be done in certain areas, and that we really lose our entire running game. So I think one of the major goods in this scenario is that we had that type of game before we got into big boy play, as I like to call it.
Yeah, no doubt. Yesterday on the podcast, that was my second good that we won the ball game, and there were other teams in the nation that didn't win their game. They had to learn from losses, and we got to learn our mistakes from a win. What I mean by that is we made our errors in a game where we could learn from it before we go on the road. And if we had not, if we had just another blowout of South Florida from the beginning, then we would have learned nothing from it. But we've learned a lot from this game, and we'll be a different team going into Wisconsin.
X. Have we lost it?
My good from the game was the fourth quarter finish, the way Alabama was able to finish the game, the way we were able to not quit, to get things done. You know, you talk about with 10 minutes to go, we scored to make it 21-13. And then in the last 7 minutes the last 6 minutes of the game, we were able to score 21 points on 3 consecutive drives to separate. So this team didn't quit. They kept fighting. They were able to get things somewhat corrected at the end. Of course, you want to go through a whole game that way. But as Keith said, this is what Bama needed, getting ready to go on the road to play Wisconsin, who's a physical team, who's going to want to run the ball, and we'll be able to build off of this and try to fix the mistakes while still having some good to pull from it. Any good from you?
I agree with X on that. And the other thing, I'll go just a little further than that, X, and I think you'll agree with me too, is being at the game and watching the team and the way they handle themselves in that final 6 minutes of the game and maybe the final quarter. I think another good is our strength and conditioning program is really different this year, and we're a lot more in shape. We're playing against a team that goes fast like South Florida. They didn't catch us loafing. As a matter of fact, in the fourth quarter, it was South Florida teams that had their hands on their hips and their heads down and didn't have a good concentration on. They blew a lot of assignments because of their lack of conditioning. And we really played well because of our conditioning. So I think our fourth quarter program is another good thing we've seen out of this game.
Agree with that. We're going to go ahead and get to break, but when we come back on the other side, we'll continue the good, bad, and the ugly conversation, as well as we'll get Alan in on the phone line to continue the conversation. But remember, you can join us on the Empowerment Strategy and Solution Hotline at 205-342-9904.
All right. And as we get out of here, let me tell you about the good folks over at North River Timber Company. We have an awesome opportunity to be a part of what they got going on. That's Courtney White, 11 years and counting as a registered forester, 205-242-5127. Or Chase Pearson, 205-799-0665. North River Timber CO at gmail.com. All three of those ways will get you in contact with them, whether it's timber harvesting, appraisals, and or land management. They can help you with each of those. That's North River Timber Company CO. They'll take care of you, and tell them that Martin Houston told you to call. We'll be back on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good Tuesday morning to you. Tuesdays usually get busy, but right now we are very quiet around the area. Even inside the construction zones, you have no worries. 2059 eastbound between Joe Malisham and McFarland, all good. And 2059
408157. 800-240-8157. That's 800-240-8157.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partly sunny today. The high for this afternoon around 89. Becoming cloudy tonight, the low 67. Tomorrow cloudy, rain moving in during the day, the high 83. Thursday breezy with widespread rain, the high at 74. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. On this Tuesday edition, we are joined by DC at DC Capstone Report. As we get ready to kick off the second quarter, we've got Alan in on the Empowerment Strategy Solutions Hotline. How you doing this morning, Alan?
Good morning, gentlemen. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Doing good.
This question is more for DC on the lawyer end of everything. Watching Tariq Hill this weekend and what happened to him Sunday, from your standpoint, what do you, if you was his lawyer, what would you say? I got my opinion, but I want to hear it from a lawyer's opinion first.
You want a lawyer opinion? I would want to check to see if first I would check to see if the police officer was a Jaguar fan. But I'll get aside.
But they didn't know.
Talking about a way that was handled, I don't think it was handled in the legality way, and I would definitely think that he would have some type of lawsuit that would be on the way he was treated. He was definitely not treated like a normal citizen. He was singled out, and the way it was handled, based on the footage that you see, I really don't see how. That police officer must have been having a bad day that day to jump to conclusions, or he had some kind of vendetta against Tyreek Hill.
Now, I thought when the first time I saw it, I'm looking at it, I'm saying, okay, Tyreek Hill is in, he's wrong. He left the window back up. My son's a police officer. And as a police officer, I'm thinking, if I was a police officer and he left that window back up and I don't know who he is, if I do know who he is, it makes no difference. I don't know if he has a weapon in that car or not. When he let a tinted window back up, he has no idea who he is. But what I saw was that second police officer, not the original one, and told him that the window, and the second one pushed the first one out of the way, and that's the one that pulled him out of the car. That's the one that was aggressive with him. And then when they get him to the sidewalk, he's in handcuffs. He is secure. He's not a threat to nobody, and they can continue to handle him rough. That's the problem I have with the whole thing. I just want to see if you saw the same thing I saw.
Yeah, it was. You're right. It was the second police officer. I call the one that was suspended. That's the one that came in and just handled it in the wrong manner. I think the first police officer was doing a good job up to that point.
Yeah.
Martin, I just want your opinion also.
Well, and I'll be quick with this. Stupidity, number one, but here's what we need to understand. There's a lot of really, really good police officers, and I thank God for the police officers and all those who wear uniforms to protect and serve, and all of our civil servants. But I also think that the police force is a good place for racists and bigots and people like that to hide as well. So I don't know what happened that day. I don't know, like for me and you, if we have a bad day, we go to work and we may treat people rough too. On that day, we're having a bad day. And if we have any bent toward being having any ill will towards somebody, Alan, then we treat them even worse. And so the problem is we don't have the authority to exert undue force on people when we're having a bad day or we have racial or biased tensions. Police officers do. And so regardless of what led to it, it seemed like an overreaction for what I think was a speeding thing. I don't know what was said or done. And so from looking at a video, it looks like it was obviously an reaction all the way around. But once again, I don't know fully. So, the situation is, I thank God for all of those who protect and serve, who do it the right way, because there's a lot more of those.
I agree.
Than the idiots that take it beyond what it should be, and who hide behind a badge in the name of protecting and serving, and gives, a bad reputation. So I always look at it when I hear people just label police officers, Alan, I always go, there was a time when I was labeled because of the color of my skin and not given a chance, and was filtered through that. And so I try not to do that to the police officers as a whole. So that's my thoughts there.
Well, I agree. My son's a police officer, and I totally agree.
Okay.
And I think it could be handled. It could be handled different all the way around. Because he, to me, to a certain extent, he instigated that by letting that window back up, and also by not, letting the window back up. I mean, he instigated it. When the guy walks to the window, he said, "Why are you knocking on my window like that?" Well, let the window down. You wouldn't have that problem to begin with.
Right. Right. And that's what I'm saying is like it seemed like it could have been a couple of different things done differently. So hopefully when the investigation comes out, if Tyreek did wrong in what he did, then, he learns from it and people watching learn from it, but also that the police officer who to me looks clearly like he went too far, especially once they had him handcuffed. Anyway, that's Martin's legal, non-legal opinion.
I see a big old check. I see a big old check going to the FOP of Miami very soon from his standpoint.
Yeah, I think so. All right. What you got? Anything else for us?
Now that's about. Oh yeah, one more thing. I see we still having a little problem with the snap. Is that guy is the center, the quarterback, and also how's the center up there doing at Ohio State? Is he still having a problem with the snap, or what's going on?
I haven't actually got to watch a Ohio State game yet this year, so I can't tell you really how Seth's doing. But I've been at both games, and I've only seen the one real bad snap. I think everything else is what you call playable or manageable from the sense of Parker and Jalen. So I don't think it's really an issue that it was last year. I'll say that.
Okay.
DC, your thoughts real quick on that, and I got a thought on it.
I agree with X on the being at the game and seeing it's not the same team as last year, not the same problem as last year. Very fixable, but it's very playable. There's only one ball that I thought was high, and it wasn't too high not to be called. So I'm good with what the center's doing.
The one snap that got over his head, the coaching staff, the quarterback, and the center all know what happened on it in that first game. Now, I will tell you, when my wife said, "Ooh, the snaps are high," then he needs to take a little bit off of it. And I think that's juice, Alan. And what I mean by that is when you get in that game and there's a guy that's over you, and that guy's either faster than you or stronger than you, you get amped up in snapping the ball. And that little extra adrenaline that you need to block that guy actually can cause the snaps to be a little high. But if you're going to snap it bad for a quarterback, if it's going to be a snap that's not hitting them right in the center, the quarterback would always rather have it high because they can still catch the ball and keep their head up. But I think that you'll see him. They'll probably talk to him this week about, hey, take a little bit off of it. I know you want to get to your man, but your first job is to get the snap to the quarterback. And I think that's all it is. It's let me say it this way. DC, when it's a tackle, they get an illegal procedure. when it's a guard, they get an illegal procedure. You see what I'm saying, Alan? But
yes,
when it's the center, they snap the ball because what they're trying to do is get the ball back there to them quicker so that they can get to their angle block or get in better position because they have to get that ball out. And as soon as that ball moves, that guy's moving. Where the other guys, as soon as the ball moves, they're ready to move as well. So that's what I think.
All right. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good day.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Alan, for calling in. DC, before we get to break, the bad from the game Saturday. What are your thoughts? That was bad that Alabama can improve going into this week against Wisconsin.
I think number one would have to be the inconsistent line play, and I think that has to be improved going into this week. But one thing I'm sure you saw this, X, in warm-ups, Caden Proctor was dressed out, and I think that during this week there was more indication that he might be able to play than not. And then at warm-ups, he was told to take his clothes off, jerseys off, and undress for the game. So I think that was a little. When I say a little inconsistent, I think it was expected based on how I think they practiced during the week. The line that played had the less hours of time practicing than any other line that's gone on the field, I think, for them. Now, that's not an excuse. That's just a reason that they got to clean that up before the Wisconsin game. You got to know who's going to play, make sure they get plenty of reps in practice this week. And I think that was the bad part of the play that I saw on both sides of the ball.
DC, I would add to that. I don't know that he got a lot of reps.
You got anything?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know that he got a lot of reps, enough reps to hurt. I just think that DC, you run a business. If I come in and take your right-hand man and give them a different position and then put somebody else in their position and all of a sudden the person who takes your right-hand man spot is not as good as the one you had and your right-hand man is not as good as what he was, then that throws everything off. I think you can – everybody that's upset about all of that, the Wilkin Formby piece, he's going to have to get better. But I would tell you, I said this yesterday, I do not think Wilkin Formby played any worse than Caden Proctor did last year. I think that there was a couple key plays. I think he got targeted. And once that happened, it was over. They were watching everything he did. He got some ticky-tack calls, even though he got beat several times. But no worse than Caden Proctor did last year. But, DC, how you and I talked about this, DC, this summer. The reason you don't move Booker is you break up the best three-team tandem in the country. Yeah. And you remember we said, would it hurt Alabama more if they lose the middle and gain a better tackle? Or would it be better to have three solid guys in the middle and a left tackle that's going to grow throughout the season? And we both said what?
In the middle. You want to stay solid in the middle.
Why? What could we not do Saturday that our first game built off of?
Couldn't run the ball, and we couldn't step up in the pocket because there wasn't any pocket to step up in.
Everybody was saying, I heard people going, Jalen needs to step up. I said, step up where?
He can't step
up. So you couldn't run the ball up the middle. He couldn't step up. And so to me, that was an experiment. And DC and I talked about this during the game, actually. Was this about trying to figure out if we get into the Georgia game and Proctor's not back and Pritchett can't handle it, we better have another alternative. And this was a game that I think they tried to find the answer to that. And remember, I'm going to get the break out to this and let you respond. Hold your response to the other side, DC. But think about this, DC. How many times did that particular group practice together?
A week.
A week.
I think it's probably less than a week.
Less than a typical week. What do we say about offensive line? It's chemistry. It's a unit.
Out of jail.
It's a unit. And it's not just one person. It's all five have to work together. And when that doesn't happen, it's a cascading effect. And that's what I saw happen. And then people say, well, what's his name got in and it totally changed. Well, let me explain something to you. He did get in and it changed. But what did you say at the beginning of this, DC, about conditioning?
Yeah. By the time he came in, the other team wasn't at the same condition level as Alabama was.
Okay, so the last three drives of the game, you put a brand new, fresh, well-conditioned Pritchett in against a guy who's been playing for 3.5 quarters. And Pritchett dominated him. Thanks, Pritchett. I'm so glad he did. But Pritchett was playing against a totally different guy than the guy that played the first 3.5 quarters. I mean, like I said, I will never make excuses for it. Wilkin has to get better, and I'm glad Pritchett came in and responded the way he did. But it's not as big a gap as everybody thinks. and it's not as bad as everybody thinks. So Bama has a chance to get better. We'll talk about it on the other side, or we'll get DC's ugly on the other side. As we get the break here, I want to remind you, listen to the Martin Houston Show, powered by Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. We have DC Capstone reporting in with us. Go check out Box Eye Care. First of all, check them out online at boxeyecare.com. You can find out all of the great services and things that they have to offer. They have that new location down on 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive, and you need to know that they have a new in-house lab. Unbelievable, one of the largest inventories in town, which means great selections, great service, and you can get in and out in most cases in 1 hour or less. That's Box Eye Care. Daniel Box, OD, 205-342-0660, boxeyecare.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good Tuesday morning to you. Tuesdays usually get busy, but right now we are very quiet around the area. Even inside the construction zones, you have no worries. 2059 eastbound between Joe Malisham and McFarland, all good. And 2059.
The Tide Tailgate Show on 95.3 The Bear and Tide 100.9 WTBC 1230. Roll Tide.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show, powered by Box Eye Care. Don't forget to get in on the Empowerment Strategy and Solutions hotline, 205-342-9904. We speak, we coach, and we train. That's the Empowerment Strategy and Solutions hotline, open for business. Learn more at empowermentstrategy.com. Got a couple comments, X. Let's see if any of those will impact the conversation we're having going forward. Curtis Moore II saying, we didn't have the luxury last year of learning from a game like last year. We blew out MTSU in the very next week. We got exposed in the Texas game. Bam Bam 72 saying the good is knowing Bama can play ugly early on, then make an adjustment and flip that switch and take over a game. Keith Holcomb said Bam Bam won 100%, but I don't want them to be cardiac kids all season. Then we got a Tennessee fan in here. Samuel Watkins going go balls. I'm sure CJ Watson just ran off the road. Bam Bam 72 said, yeah, me either, Keith, laugh out loud. Just nice knowing that this team faced adversity and responded well. And Keith Holcomb saying, well, that's right. X, we do have a couple of callers we want to get in with DC, but I'll toss it back to you to take it over.
Yeah, we got Pat joining us on the Empowerment Strategy Solutions hotline. How you doing this morning, Pat? Pat, you still with us? Going once, going twice.
Hey, Pat, you still there?
All right, next caller.
All right, we've got Joey from Tuscaloosa. How you doing this morning, Joey?
I'm fine. Good morning, gentlemen. There's something that I haven't heard mentioned yet about. I texted somebody early in the game, early in the first quarter, that the officials had an agenda they were going to be forcing. I've seen it for years. I've been around for years. If you notice, there was a personal foul called when the quarterback was running down the sidelines and the defender pushed him out of bounds. You remember that early in the game?
When South Florida had the ball?
Yes. They called it a late hit on Alabama. The guy was running down the sidelines. He wasn't 3 yards out of bounds. He was right on the sideline. You remember that?
The officiating was bad Saturday, even though Alabama had some moments.
But it started early. Shaw, for years, showed that he would tell, I believe he told people to have an agenda against Alabama and play calling. They can affect the outcome of the game. You get called for 3 holding calls, you're not going to be aggressive.
You think Shaw? You said you think Shaw did that?
I thought he did it when he was head of officiating in the Southeastern Conference.
You know he's an Alabama grad, right?
That doesn't matter.
Okay. Okay. I think Shaw was an Alabama grad, but anyway, he may not have been.
He was horrible when he ran the Southeastern Conference. These officials had an agenda. Do you not agree that if you won't be aggressive if you get 2 or 3 holding calls?
Yeah, that'll definitely take a knock.
I agree with you, but sure. I think what happened on this game is what happens in a lot of games, and what you were identifying is normally what happens. There's a pre-meeting, and the coach from the other team has the ability to have watched film all week and see something on the film that he thinks he can exploit and take advantage of through manipulating the officials, and they get that to the officials. And for example, if no one's questioned, hey, maybe that's what happened this time, they said, hey, watch 75. They didn't call him by name. They said, watch 75. He holds on every play. And if you put that in somebody's head, that's what somebody sees. And if you've ever played football before, you can call holding on every play, but it doesn't mean you should call holding on every play if you're a good official. And I think that's what happened in this. It manipulated the officials, and the officials, once they did it, it caused, like you said, everybody else to play differently, especially the number 75. He felt like he was going to get caught for holding every time, and he did.
Yeah, I mean, if you call it on interference on a defensive back, he separates. I mean, you call it multiple times, but they held our players and they didn't call it. They had an agenda.
Not going to disagree with you, Joey. Hey, Joey, do you have a score for us?
Oh, of this week?
Yeah.
I think something like, say 37-13.
And what's the total rushing yards for the running back room? It includes Jalen.
260.
All right. Ooh. Thanks, Joey. Joey,
all right.
Next. Thanks, Joey. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joey. We've got Pat back on the hotline with us. How you doing this morning, Pat?
Hey, first off, guys, 48-14. We roll, and we're going to run up a bunch of yardage. We're going to have somewhere in the vicinity of 285 at least.
All right.
On rushing. Hey, but Jalen's going to, and Ty's going to get to play. Ty's going to get to play most of the fourth quarter. It's my prediction.
All right, Pat.
But, hey, we're going to make, hey, and look, hey, I think that cheese up there is curdling already. How you like that, Martin Houston?
I like it.
We want to spread decon this morning. Hey, that cheese is curdling already.
I was going to say, the guy who's always warning us not to spread rat poison, boy, he's throwing it out there deep tonight. I mean, this morning.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, thanks, y'all have a blessed day, because there's plenty more people want to get in and give you a score. All right, bye-bye.
All right, bud. Appreciate you. DC, before we get to break, let's go ahead and get into the ugly of the game from Saturday. What were some things Alabama did that was just bad?
Well, 3 turnovers, three fumbles. Shouldn't say turnovers because they weren't interceptions. 3 fumbles, and I've watched practice. I have seen them work on ball security. And I'm sure the coaches' heads were exploding when the fumble started happening, because it was just ball security. And so that's unacceptable. And the other unacceptable part of it, as even Coach Womack said yesterday, didn't create any turnovers. Had the ability to, especially when you had a quarterback who's tired running the ball. We didn't even try to strip the ball when we tackled him. So I think that's something point of emphasis this week. So I really think that was the ugly part of the game, other than the officiating, which we've already talked about.
Yeah, for me, the ugly part of the game, I mean, and as people know, Wilkin is a family friend playing with Simeon in high school. But Wilkin and Gino Vandermark, they just bad performances, and they both need to get better if they're going to be contributors of this team. I think as far as the right tackle position goes, you open back up competition this week. You have Pritchett and Wilkin fight for it, and may the best man win. I think some of the ones on Wilkin were ticky-tack, the big play to Prentice. I've never seen a guy stumble and fall at your feet and you lay on top of him. They call an offensive lineman for holding. I think that one was absolutely atrocious. The one on Jalen's touchdown run was picky because as soon as the guy started to pull away, Wilkin let him go. Jalen was 15, 20 yards downfield when you see the flag come out. Geno's got to improve inside, but I don't think you can break up the interior offensive line again, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, and I don't think the competition has ever closed at right tackle. What's his name got hurt during the Kentucky game, and I think that they were trying to play it smart. What they did not want to happen, and I know a lot of people, well, why didn't they put him in early? There's certain injuries that as you fatigue, they become worse, okay? And I don't know what Pritchett's issue is, right? But if they put him in early in the game, and like I said, I don't know what the injury is, so I can't say this, but I had a pulled stomach, abdominal strain, and the more tired I got, DC, the less I could hold it together and the more pain I was in. So in practice, they would limit how many reps I could get because of the fatigue effect. And that's what it seems to be what they were trying to do there. They said they really did not want him to play at all in this game. And so I'm not sure the competition wasn't already open. But that explains why he wasn't starting at left tackle. Everybody keeps talking about, well, he should have been at right tackle. Well, that explains why he didn't play at left tackle. It's because they didn't think he could physically play an entire game. Duh.
I agree 100%. We have the best training staff, best trainer in America. So it's not like they were going out there guessing whether he could play or not. He'd already had an assessment. They knew what he could do. And if they were going to have him play at all, it was going to be after the other team was already tired. Every coach and every trainer on our side could see what was happening on their side, and it was the right time to send him in. That's why he got put in. We got to trust our coaches that got put in at the right time. So I don't have a problem with when he played or how he played.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will as we go to break here, DC coming back on the other side, we'll get your prediction. Hey, let's take a little jaunt. We'll look at rapid fire and do around the SEC, but also get your thoughts on Wisconsin as well. Coming back on the other side, we appreciate you, but hang in there. We got Dixie Battery Supply. Dixie Battery Supply, power up all of your devices. Come by the store in Tuscaloosa and Northport. And hey, listen, never feel powerless again. Stock up with batteries from the Dixie Battery Supply store, and you're going to find all the batteries you need, as well as if you need to exchange batteries. They do have reconditioned batteries. They're starting at $39.99 plus tax with an exchange. Contact them at Dixie Battery Supply, Northport, Tuscaloosa, and they can take care of all your needs in West Alabama. So go online and see them at Dixie Battery Supply or call 205-758-9190. 9190. Sorry about that. 205-758-9190.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Hey, everybody. At 9 a.m. on the Gary Harris Show, the Rocket Man, Drew DeArmond, will join me. Also, Kayla Anderson with the Titans report. They had a heartbreaking loss against the Bears. Your phone calls. And, of course, we'll recap Alabama football press conference from Monday. All that and more, 9 a.m. on the Gary Harris.
Or Town Square Media Tuscaloosa radio websites. Fill out the Advertise Here form. Put the power of Town Square Media to work for your business.
This season of Alabama football on Tide 100.9, brought to you by Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Just a few minutes away, where you can be a winner, too.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by Everwood, the official treated lumber of Alabama athletics. Everwood, wood treated right. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Here are more post-game thoughts from head coach Kalen DeBoer following Alabama's 42-16 win over South Florida.
Defense did a nice job forcing some field goals. And you know, just as we went through the game there in the fourth quarter, I think those were key, you know. So us scoring touchdowns and finishing drives other than the fumble, which was certainly unfortunate. Again, a lot of things we need to clean up. Guys, you got to do a better job when they make a big play. You got to tuck it away. All the things we work on, all the things we discuss, going to be, you know, a lot to learn from. And so excited about the challenge, the opportunity, because that's what this is. And I think you need games like this, and you know, this isn't a wake-up call or nothing like that. It's nothing like that. It's just, you know, just keep raising the standard. I think this game last year was an important one, you know, that propelled them last year, and it'll probably be the same thing this year. You know, that's my hope.
I'll have more in a moment.
Producing championship quality lumber is not an easy process, but at Everwood Preserving, it's our only process. Wood treated right. Everwood offers top-notch pressure-treated wood for decks, outdoor structures, commercial jobs, and more that you can build your reputation on. When it comes to quality, we're on the winning team. Visit your local Everwood dealer today and discover the difference for yourself. Everwood Preserving Incorporated, the official lumber of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Join us this afternoon for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, streaming live at 2 p.m. Central on all CTSN social media platforms. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Everwood. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Harvest Church 2-minute warning. Let's go check out Houston Hydro Steam, carpet and upholstery cleaning. Quality work you can stand on. 205-553-9460. That's Houston Hydro Steam. They help us each and every day and also help bring us the West Alabama High School preview show. DC, we had a couple of comments over on the app, and I was going to get your thoughts on one of them, and then we'll do a little rapid fire as we close out this edition. In addition to what we were talking about with the Pritchett situation being fresh against a guy that played, I think Bama's depth at running back and wide receiver also proved valuable at that point in the game. Those skill groups were able to remain relatively fresh, as well as due to the number of very talented players. Your thoughts there?
I agree 100%. I think that not only were we fresh, and because of the depth, we were fresh because of the fourth quarter program and how we were better conditioned this year than we were last year, and we took advantage of it in the fourth quarter. I agree.
And then the question from yesterday, and that was from Michael_Jags. Yesterday, we had talked about this a little bit. Our lack of O-line depth is alarming and super concerning. Any thoughts? That's QD from Douglasville, Georgia.
Yeah, I think it is. I think the lack of having a tackle that we already have in the place in the room that's ready to go is a little alarming. But I think we knew that going into the year. We talked about that. You and I did early on during fall camp. What would happen? So we knew this was going to happen, and we'll just have to see where it goes from here and build on recruiting and maybe get in the portal next year and see what we can find as far as the tackles.
My biggest threat was the health of the offensive line to this team winning a national title. And I think that's be true. Go ahead, X.
Is it a little different because when you look at this tackle situation, we were down two of our top three tackles going into this game with Proctor and Pritchett being banged up. So Pritchett or Formby will be that third tackle the rest of the season. If everybody stays healthy. So is it that much of a depth issue, or is it overinflated because of having two early injuries?
Well, I think the injuries contribute to it, but I think the question is probably coming from the fact that after one goes down and another one gets injured, then you're sliding a player who's already playing on another part of the line out to tackle instead of having a next man up in the tackle room. So I think it's the tackle room probably still up then.
It's the worst case scenario, X. I mean, it's you did lose 2 tackles, and that's what depth means. Is we don't have 2 solid tackles. We don't have 2 solid left tackles and 2 solid right tackles. We have 3 guys that we believe can play winning football, and if both of them get hurt, you're now down to moving your All-American guard to left tackle, which hurts your overall team. DC, what about Wisconsin?
Well, I mean, it's going to be a great atmosphere. When you go in there, it's going to be loud, and they have a really good team. Coach Fickle's a good coach. Alabama's played a Coach Fickle coach team in Cincinnati before, so we're going to know what we're going to get. We're going to get a powerful running game that's going to play action passes, and they're going to actually spread it out a little bit more than the old Wisconsin team would do. But the tradition there is hard-nosed, tough football. It'll be a loud place to play. It'll definitely be a test. I think we stepped up from Western Kentucky to South Florida. I don't think nobody's giving them enough credit of how good they actually were. And now we're going to step up again to Wisconsin, which I think is going to be really good for the year because it gives us, a learning curve, getting better as we get ready for the Georgia game.
I'll throw this in before X has another question for you. I think South Florida's front 7 is better than Wisconsin's.
Well, I think you may be right. I won't know that for sure until we see them actually play on the field, but I know they were a lot better than people have given them credit for.
They're a lot more athletic, and they were physical. That was an SEC caliber front 7.
Yep, 100%. What are your thoughts about the AP polls and the thoughts with the SEC and where they're all sitting at this point?
Well, unheard of, right? Have 6 or 7, and from one conference. I think it shows the strength of the conference. But as you know, we'll start playing each other and we'll start picking each other off, and that'll probably change as we go toward the end. But it lets you know that it was possibility we can get 4 teams into the playoff, maybe 5 if the cards fall right. So it's going to be a really big year for the SEC, in my opinion.
DC, I think all 6 could, and everybody that's in the top 10 could still end up in the top 10. I mean, because they're going to be playing against teams that are in the top 10. I mean, so a loss isn't going to necessarily hurt them as much because you're playing against the top team. So I think all of these teams, if they end up with 1 or 2 losses, they're going to be okay. Tell us where they can find you and why you're able to be with us each day.
All right, DCCapstoneReport.com, DC Capstone Report Facebook page, at DavidCott50 on X or Twitter. And always follow Lance's other sites, RollTideBama.com, FreelancePictures.com. He's got some great pictures up. And my sponsor is Karen Cottingham with the Williams Group here at Keller Williams. You can contact her for all your real estate needs at 205-887-4008. And we're now on Spotify. Our podcast is on Spotify. You can catch it on all your devices.
All right. Hey, that's DC Capstone Report on Martin Houston. That's Xavier Houston. Thanks to all the callers and viewers and chatters for being a part of the program. And remember this, we appreciate you. Remember this, trusting the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding, always acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Roll Tide out there. We'll be back tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a blessed day, everybody.